It started with a single sentence. No beat, no music. Just Kendrick Lamar, standing center stage at an exclusive LA gala, staring directly into the crowd, into the eyes of Sean Jay-Z Carter himself. Respect to the legends, but the crown's been sitting too long on the same head. The room froze. Champagne flutes stopped mid-air. The click of camera shutters turned into rapid fire as every phone in the building began recording. Jay-Z didn't flinch. He just leaned back, eyes locked on Kendrick, the faintest smirk curling at the edge of his lips. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, cheeky. Hip-hop's greatest torchbearer had just lit the match, and the fire was spreading at lightning speed. Nobody knew what was coming next. But one thing was certain. The throne was no longer safe. The Beverly Hills Hilton had never seen a night like this. The chandeliers glowed like captured suns, casting golden light over a crowd that could single-handedly buy half of Los Angeles. The annual Legends in Music Charity Gala was supposed to be a celebration: tuxedos, diamond gowns, charity auctions, and a carefully curated guest list that read like the index of hip-hop history. Nas was there. Dr. Dre too. Beyoncé and Rihanna laughed quietly in a corner booth. And at the center table, wearing a crisp midnight blue suit, sat Jay-Z, the undisputed business king of hip-hop. In the far corner, Kendrick Lamar was quiet, too quiet. He wasn't sipping champagne. He wasn't trading jokes with Pharrell. He wasn't smiling for the photographers. His eyes kept drifting toward the head table, to Jay-Z, the man who once publicly called him one of the young greats, but who, in recent years, had gone noticeably silent whenever GOAT debates hit the headlines. The whispers had been there for months. Industry insiders claiming Jay had been subtly blocking Kendrick's opportunities, keeping him out of certain deals, ensuring he never quite surpassed him in influence. No proof, no receipts, just rumors that seemed too persistent to ignore. And in Kendrick's world, when the whispers get loud enough, it's time to make them impossible to ignore. Halfway through the evening, the host announced that Kendrick had agreed to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to a surprise recipient. People clapped politely, expecting a scripted tribute. Kendrick took the stage with slow, deliberate steps, his hand gripping the microphone like it was a weapon. He adjusted the mic, glanced at the teleprompter, then ignored it completely. His voice was low at first, conversational. "We're here tonight to honor those who built the house of hip-hop, the ones who gave us the foundation to stand on." The crowd nodded. Jay-Z's face remained unreadable. Then Kendrick's tone shifted, rising just enough to slice through the chatter of the dining hall. "But here's the truth, sometimes the ones holding the crown forget what it's like to earn it." A ripple of tension passed through the room. The band stopped tuning their instruments. Forks and knives froze mid-air. Kendrick continued, his eyes locked on Jay-Z. "Respect to the legends. But the crown's been sitting too long on the same head. If you're not willing to pass it, I might just have to take it." Gasps erupted. Nas shifted uncomfortably. In his seat, Beyoncé leaned forward, studying Jay's face. Jay-Z took a slow sip of wine, that faint smirk refusing to fade. From the side tables, smartphones lit up like fireflies. Dozens of angles, close-ups, wide shots. Twitter was seconds away from detonating. Kendrick finished with a final, razor-sharp line. "Legacy isn't about how long you've had the throne. It's about what you do while you're sitting on it." He dropped the mic, not as a stunt, but as a punctuation mark, and walked off stage to a wall of stunned silence. Even the MC didn't know whether to applaud or change the subject. By the time Kendrick reached his table, the first tweets were already viral. Kendrick Lamar just challenged Jay-Z to his face. Clips were being edited in real time. Headlines began appearing on hip-hop blogs before dessert even hit the tables. But upstairs, in a quiet VIP lounge reserved for the biggest names, Jay-Z's inner circle was already gathering. They spoke in low voices, debating whether to respond, to laugh it off, or to end Kendrick's career before sunrise. Jay sat at the head of the table, calm, collected, watching the chaos unfold on his phone screen. And then, without raising his voice, he said, "Line up a camera tomorrow morning. I'll answer him once." That answer would not just be a statement. It would be a moment that froze the internet in place. The arena was still shaking. Kendrick's last words hadn't even settled in the air when the crowd erupted into something between disbelief and pure hysteria. Phones shot up instantly, hundreds, then thousands, every angle capturing the moment he said it. That name, Jay-Z. The man most rappers wouldn't even whisper against in public. You could feel it. This wasn't just another rap jab. This was a bullet through hip-hop's glass ceiling. Social media didn't wait for the show to end. In the front row, someone's livestream was already pushing 500,000 views within minutes. Comments flew like shrapnel. Did Kendrick just, nah, no way he said that. Yo, Jay-Z ain't gone, let that slide. The camera panned across the stage lights as Kendrick stepped back from the mic. He wasn't smiling, but he wasn't hiding either. His face was carved in stone. No apology, no hesitation, just the slow pacing of a man who knew exactly what he'd done, and exactly what it would start. Behind the stage, chaos had already begun. Tour managers were on calls, publicists typing statements they'd never send, and somewhere in New York, word was already moving toward Jay-Z's camp. One industry insider posted cryptically, "Brooklyn got the message." It wasn't just what Kendrick said, it was how he said it. No metaphors, no subliminals, no hiding in clever wordplay. It was a direct challenge, and for a man like Jay-Z who built his career on calculated silence, this was the kind of noise you couldn't ignore. The ripple effect reached beyond the venue. DJs stopped mid-set in clubs across the country, replaying the clip over and over. Radio stations cleared the phone lines for callers who couldn't believe what they'd just heard. Hip-hop forums crashed under the traffic of fans, and haters dissecting every syllable. The most viral replay wasn't even the full verse. It was the moment Kendrick locked eyes with the camera after saying Jay's name, a quiet 3 seconds. That felt like 3 hours. It was as if he was staring through the lens into every living room, every phone screen, daring the world to react. Rappers in Kendrick's orbit started texting each other, some sending laughing emojis, others shaking their heads. One veteran MC tweeted, "That's the type of chess move that gets you remembered forever, or buried faster than you think." In the back corridors of the music world, this was more than a diss. It was a political play. Calling out Jay-Z wasn't just poking at a fellow rapper, it was challenging the infrastructure. Jay wasn't just an artist, he was an institution, a billionaire mogul with a seat in boardrooms where most rappers couldn't even get through security, and yet, Kendrick had done it. Live. Unfiltered. As the night went on, different narratives started spinning. Some said this was personal, old business between TDE and ROC Nation that finally boiled over. Others insisted it was about hip-hop purity, a shot against the commercialization of the culture. But one thing was certain. Kendrick knew this would spread faster than wildfire, and he was ready for the blaze. Hours later, footage surfaced of Kendrick backstage. He wasn't hyped up or celebrating, he was calm. Almost too calm. Sitting on a couch, hoodie up, talking to his team in short, quiet sentences. A crew member asked him if he thought Jay would respond. Kendrick's only answer, "He has to." Meanwhile, in the upper echelons of the industry, silent calls were being made. Jay-Z's close affiliates were already gathering intel. Someone leaked that Jay had seen the clip within 20 minutes of it going viral. He didn't say much, just watched it twice, leaned back in his chair, and smiled. That smile meant different things to different people. To some, it was the calm before a storm. To others, it was the grin of a man who knew he'd just been given an opportunity to remind the world who he was. By sunrise, hashtags were dominating every platform. Hashtag Kendrick vs Jay, hashtag Brooklyn response, hashtag the callout. Reaction videos piled up. Some fans celebrated Kendrick for having the courage to call out a legend. Others called it career suicide. But Kendrick, he didn't post a single thing. No tweets, no interviews, no clarifications. He let the moment breathe, knowing that silence could be just as loud as his words. Still, the question hung in the air like a loaded gun. Would Jay-Z fire back? For years, Jay had perfected the art of silence, choosing battles only when they served him. But this was different. This was public global unavoidable. The whole world was watching, waiting for a sound from Brooklyn, and then 48 hours later, it came. If you want, I can now move directly into part 3, which will be the Jay-Z response scene, keeping the same cinematic pacing and setting up the mid-script climax. That way, your 6-part story flows perfectly without losing momentum. The moment Kendrick's words hit the air, the internet didn't just react, it fractured. Twitter timelines turned into battlegrounds. Instagram lives popped up like street corner debates. One half of the culture screamed in celebration. Finally, someone bold enough to press the man who sat atop the throne for decades. The other half shook their heads, muttering the same warning. You don't poke the Godfather, unless you're ready for the war that follows. Inside ROC Nation headquarters, the atmosphere was ice cold. No one knew if Jay-Z was about to issue a direct statement, or let silence be his weapon. But make no mistake, the silence, if chosen, would be strategic. Jay had built an empire on patience. He didn't rush his moves. He let them mature like aged wine. Kendrick's strike had drawn blood, but Jay's style wasn't to bleed in public. He waited. He plotted. Music journalists scrambled to dissect every syllable of Kendrick's callout. Genius.com saw a 400% spike in annotations for the verse in question. Spotify playlists labeled the Throne verses. The Crown began circulating, filled with both artists' hardest tracks. YouTube reactors couldn't keep up. Thumbnails screamed with titles like Kendrick destroys Jay-Z, or Jay-Z about to end Kendrick. And then, the whisper started. Anonymous sources, the type that both fans and blogs love to half-trust, claimed Jay had already recorded a response. Not a freestyle, not a playful jab, but a full, deliberate record. The alleged track, titled The Architect, was supposedly laced with surgical precision, the kind of diss that doesn't just win a battle, it rewrites the rules of the game. Meanwhile, Kendrick's camp stayed eerily quiet. No tweets, no interviews, no IG lives. It was as if, after throwing the grenade, Kendrick stepped back into the shadows, waiting to see how much damage it would cause. Hip-hop veterans began weighing in. Snoop Dogg laughed on a podcast, saying, "Man, if these two really go at it, that's the Super Bowl of rap right there." Nas, when cornered by paparazzi, just smirked and replied, "Competition's healthy." Even Eminem's name started trending as fans begged him to pick a side, or better yet, drop a verse in the middle of the storm. And all the while, the younger generation watched in awe. For many, this was the first time they'd seen two eras of hip-hop royalty face off. It wasn't just a battle for bragging rights, it was about what hip-hop would look like in the next decade. Would the throne remain with the architect of the old guard? Or would the crown pass to the Compton poet who refused to bow? Then came the first real move. Not from Jay-Z, not from Kendrick, but from Beyoncé, out of nowhere. She liked and quickly unliked a fan tweet that read, "Kendrick's the only one who can push Jay to pick up the pen again." It was a digital spark in a room filled with gasoline. The Bayhive and TDE fans collided, dissecting what that single tap of the screen meant. Accident, intentional, a quiet cosign from the Queen herself. That night, someone leaked a blurry 10-second clip of a studio session. The video showed a figure who looked suspiciously like Jay, nodding his head to a beat. The sound was muffled, but one phrase cut through the static. "King without a crown. Boy, I built the kingdom you're standing in." The clip went viral in minutes. The speculation machine hit overdrive. If it was real, Jay wasn't just preparing a response, he was aiming to end the conversation entirely. But here's the thing, Kendrick's team had been expecting this. And according to a source close to Top Dog Entertainment, they had 2 response tracks ready before Kendrick even went public. The game wasn't checkers. It wasn't even chess. This was war played, on multiple boards at once, and every move was designed to trigger the other side into making a mistake. And so, the culture found itself holding its breath. Every post, every like, every leak could tip the balance. The streets were talking, the blogs were watching, and the industry insiders were texting like their thumbs were on fire. Something bigger than a diss track was brewing. It started like a spark, then exploded like wildfire. The moment Kendrick's call out to Jay-Z hit the timeline, the hip-hop internet wasn't just talking, it was erupting. Twitter threads turned into battlegrounds. Instagram pages switched into overdrive, posting split-screen edits. One side Kendrick's performance, the other Jay-Z watching from the sidelines, frozen in that unreadable glare. Fans weren't subtle either. Hashtags like hashtag KDOTV's HOV and hashtag Respect the Throne trended within an hour. Some fans were quoting Kendrick's lines like scripture, claiming he just freed the culture from invisible chains. Others accused him of going too far, disrespecting a man whose career shaped the blueprint for half the rap game. Hip-hop elders started weighing in. Questlove posted a cryptic drum pattern on his Instagram story, slow, heavy, and deliberate, with no caption. People swore it was his way of saying, "Jay's about to clap back." On the other side, TDE affiliates dropped subtle nods, posting old tour footage of Kendrick standing next to legends. The caption simply reading, "A king among kings." Then came the unexpected twist. A 10-second audio leak. It wasn't from Kendrick, it wasn't from Jay-Z. It was a grainy, low-quality clip of a voice, one that sounded uncannily like Nas, saying, "Some of y'all forgot what this thing was built on. Time to remind you." No one knew if it was real. No one knew if it was old. But for the internet, truth didn't matter. Speculation was fuel, and the fire was now out of control. Music journalists scrambled to get statements. Billboard published an emergency op-ed, Kendrick Lamar versus Jay-Z. Is this the last great rap battle? Complex ran with, if Jay responds, the game changes forever. Meanwhile, streaming numbers went insane. Kendrick's discography jumped 300% in plays overnight. Even Jay-Z's older verses, especially his subliminal heavy tracks, surged back into the charts. But the real storm was happening in private group chats. Insiders whispered about calls being made, about certain producers clearing their schedules, about a beat folder in LA that just got locked down and password-protected, and in the middle of it all, Kendrick went silent. No tweets, no interviews, no cryptic IG lives. Just radio silence, the kind that doesn't signal retreat, but preparation. Fans could feel it. Something bigger was coming. And this time, it might not just be about music. 3 days passed. In internet time, that's an eternity. Comment sections were foaming. Fans were begging for a response. And hip-hop podcasts were doing daily emergency episodes, each one more desperate than the last. Then, out of nowhere, a plain black square appeared on Kendrick's Instagram. No caption, no tags, no promo, just black. Minutes later, his bio changed. Friday, 9 p.m. That was it. The industry froze. Even Drake, who had been quietly enjoying the chaos from the sidelines, suddenly looked uneasy, because he knew, whenever Kendrick moves in silence, it's never small. Rumors started spilling. Some claimed Kendrick had rented out the Apollo Theater in Harlem for a private performance in Tonely, Bones Band, NDAs signed. Others swore they saw J. Cole's security detail in New York that morning. And a tiny corner of Reddit was convinced this wasn't about Jay-Z anymore, that this was the beginning of something bigger. A movement aimed at dismantling the current rap hierarchy altogether. Friday came. 9 p.m. No live stream, no performance. Instead, a video dropped. It wasn't a music video. It wasn't even a diss track. It was a short film, shot in grainy 16mm, drenched in shadows, and scored only by a slow, haunting piano loop. Kendrick walked through the streets of Compton at night, hoodie up, eyes locked on the camera. He didn't rap. He didn't smile. He just spoke, low, controlled, surgical. They told me to play the game, but the game got no rules. They told me respect the throne, but the throne don't respect the people. Every line felt like it was aimed directly at Jay-Z, but also at the entire music industry. Halfway through, the camera cut to black and white, footage of old rap battles, protests, kids in the crowd screaming lyrics they barely understood but felt in their bones. Then back to Kendrick. If you own the crown, you should protect the kingdom, not sell it to the highest bidder. The film ended with one frame of white text, Act 2, coming soon. No one knew if Act 2 meant another film, a diss track, an album, or something else entirely. But one thing was certain. Jay-Z had been called out in a way that couldn't be ignored by midnight. Hip-hop wasn't just watching a feud, it was witnessing the opening shots of a cultural revolution. The morning after Kendrick's short film, the internet was unrecognizable. Clips from the video were everywhere, chopped, remixed, slowed down, even translated into other languages. It wasn't just rap fans talking now. Politicians, actors, activists, everyone had an opinion. Jay-Z stayed silent. No statement, no tweet. But insiders leaked one detail. He had cleared his schedule by Monday. Whispers turned into shouts. A mysterious stage was being constructed in Brooklyn. No brand logos, no sponsors, just a massive black banner with a single gold crown painted on it. Security was tight. Rumors said 2 names were on the guest list who hadn't shared a stage in years, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. Tuesday night, the world found out. No live stream, no announcement. Just 100 lucky people in a dimly lit warehouse. And history about to happen. First, Cole walked out. No flashy entrance, just calm, steady steps. The crowd lost it. Then the lights dropped to black. A single spotlight hit center stage. Kendrick, hood up, mic in hand. The room was so silent you could hear his footsteps echo. He looked at Cole. Cole looked at him, and without a single word, The beat dropped, not a diss track, but something worse, for their enemies. A joint record bar after bar. They didn't just rap, they exposed name drops, dates, receipts, behind-the-scenes deals. Lines so sharp you could feel the room wince. Halfway through, Cole spit, "We ain't here to play king. We here to burn the castle." Kendrick followed, "You can hide behind your money, but the people see the truth." By the time the song ended, it wasn't even about Jay-Z anymore. It was about an entire generation reclaiming control. As the last note faded, Kendrick dropped the mic. No encore, no speech. He and Cole walked off together, two silhouettes disappearing into the dark. That night, social media didn't call it a beef. They called it the shift. And the crown. It didn't just tilt. It fell.